All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Limitless MD. I'm your host, Vikram Raya, and today we're going to talk about how to run for political office as a physician. What if you could reclaim hours of free time each week, create legacy building wealth, and devote more energy to your passion projects without giving up on your career as a life-saving MD? My name is Vikram Raya, functional cardiologist, high-performance coach, and real estate expert. And I'm here to give you the tools, strategies, and solutions you need to transform your life so you can unlock your limitless potential and achieve greatness, all the while freeing up your precious time. Welcome to Limitless MD. Let's dive in. So the question is, is there a precedent for doctors in the White House? And the answer is absolutely yes. I'm going to pull up my good old Wikipedia here, and they talk about physicians, for example, in the United States Congress. Sometimes there's as low as 5 doctors in the Congress. This was around 1960, and it's been as high as 21 doctors in 2013. So there's a lot of, interest in physicians sometimes running. And one of the motivations, they say, is physicians have watched sort of the profession undergo tremendous realignment and shifting doctors' responsibility away from patient care and more toward, bureaucracy. And so they're like, might as well have their hand, the physician hand, the stethoscope hand on bills and laws and rules and regulations so they can help improve the profession. There's Rand Paul was one of the famous physicians there who says, being a physician gives Rand a unique perspective in Washington simply because he's trained to diagnose a problem and find a solution. So on both sides of Republicans and Democrats, there are been a tremendous number of physicians, in the Congress. And I think in the current Congress here, there are 17 physicians, 13 in the House and 4 in the Senate. So, and the specialties range. There are, emergency room doctors, orthopedics doctors, internal medicine doctors, OBGYN, anesthesiology, dermatology, ophthalmology. So it really runs a gambit. So the question really is why? Why would someone want to run for office? One, they have a powerful reason. They have something that they're fighting for. Number two, they potentially have a team that are well-spoken. They have the characteristics of something that would be successful in politics. And number three, they would have some logistics. They have either resources there. They've created some wealth and some cash that they can deploy toward this, because running for office can be very expensive. And number two, if you don't have other streams of income, you may not be able to earn your full livelihood through being a politician. And number three, you have to be well connected, or you have to become well connected. So having a powerful why, having a team, and logistics are really important. And in the end, I know there's other reasons to get into politics, but you really want to serve your country in a very powerful way beyond your current profession, which is, as a physician or in administration. So, if this is of interest to you, there is a precedent for it. There's reasons for it, and there's so many physicians who've already done it. So it's about role modeling success. The reason why I think physicians do well in politics is because they're respected. The physician profession, even now, is still very highly respected. They have a leg up. They know how to think in a very cerebral way, and in general, it may not be not just IQ, but even the EQ of physicians is pretty high. And so physicians can navigate these complex decisions. They can navigate making, agreements, creating collaboration, working with different people from different walks of life, and just creating unity. And then finally, physicians are surrounded usually by other physicians, so they're surrounded by capital. So to just get in the office, it is very important to have really established connections, not only with the physician community, but the business community, perhaps, other communities out there that are influential in raising money for campaigns. And so there's a physician, not a physician, but there's a politician that a young guy, his name is Suraj Patel, And I was getting some of his information just randomly on my email. And the way he was running the campaign reminded me more of like an Instagram story, more of like a Facebook kind of campaign, and a lot of grassroots. And even he didn't win, I think, this most recent seat in maybe the New York congressional offices, but he really ran a very good campaign, got a lot of publicity, a lot of press, and he really positioned himself to essentially be ready for the next, run. And I see him running probably again. And based on his campaign and based on what I'm seeing, I think there's basically 8 main steps to running for office. One is considering the run for office, right? It's sort of discussing with yourself, your family, and your reasons, and then making that decision. Number 2 is, how do you create a political campaign structure and organization? You want to set that up. Number 3, you want to have an exploratory phase where you really go and talk to the different party members, different political groups, and show your interest in what you want to do, and make sure you have the backing, perhaps. And you don't necessarily need the backing; it just does help. Next, there's an announcement. There's a pre-announcement steps. It's almost similar to you're launching a product. You're launching a podcast. You're launching, an investment. Then you're trying to launch yourself, and you're the product or the service. You're the brand. And so there's a pre-announcement steps. Then there's the actual announcement day. Then you have to create your campaign team and create your campaign strategy, your priorities, your tactics. It's essentially a whole campaigning is essentially marketing for yourself and your ideas. You have to grow support, and then there's election day, and there's a whole election day strategy, like around that, maybe a week or 2 out of the election, that the few days before the election, day of the election, and then after election day. If you win, great. Then it's about forming your committees, your campaigns, your team, thanking your supporters, and then getting into office. If you did not win, then it's essentially consolidating, maybe doing a dissection of your campaign. What went right? What went wrong? What can we do in the future? And if you really believe in what you're doing, you gather up the resources and the strengths and pursue it again. So this is really in a short little tidbit for you guys, how a physician can run for office. And I think it's a very powerful thing to do. I think if you really want to serve your country, I think it's something meaningful. And there's obviously toils and struggles and issues that are not just with yourself, but your family being exposed to the public media and stuff. But if you really believe in it, then I would say go for it. The other option is, instead of being a king, consider being a kingmaker. So I find the actual running and becoming a politician maybe not what I want to do, but I do want to support the right candidates. And so I've raised capital for candidates by raising money for their campaigns, in their homes, supporting their causes, donating to their campaigns, maybe making key introductions for people, perhaps being on their campaign team and maybe supporting them. So there's many ways where you don't necessarily have to run for office, but still support someone who you really believe in, so they can achieve the status they need to actually implement and actually make change happen. So hopefully this was helpful, guys. And I think it's a little bit different than what we normally talk about, but I thought it was really important. And so with that said, until next time, be phenomenal. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Limitless MD. If you found value from this episode, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend and let me know by leaving a review. For more information, make sure you check out the links in the show notes below, or simply visit vikramraya.com. So until next time, my friends, be phenomenal.